What's up, my friends? It's TMX once again. Today I'm going to review the Metazoo Monday for December 1st, 2025. We didn't have Charlie. We had Ben taking over today. It was a pretty good one. We had a lot of information. I'm going to try to get through it. I wasn't there the whole time, so a lot of it's going to be new as I go through on my tablet and go through it. I was picking up my 3 boxes of Secret Shadows that I got. I was going to do a review of the Secret Shadows today, but because DPD put out his video today, I don't want to step all over his toes. It's a small space. DPD doesn't put out a lot of videos, so I don't want to walk over his and try to fight for the same space. I'll let his breathe, and I'll put mine out maybe tomorrow or the next day. He did a 40-minute video. Check it out. I've not checked out. Just skimmed through it just a little bit. Then I'll check out the whole thing. I might not check out the whole thing. That's a long video to go through, but I'm glad that he's putting out videos. He has a very solid fan base, people that want to see his stuff, so he should cater to them and should be able to put out videos on a more consistent basis because people like to hear you talk. DPD, he's the homie. All right, so we started off with a countdown from Flyer, and there was a question. There's always an icebreaker. I'm not really concerned with the icebreakers, but people were just talking about the things that they like. Flyer said it's a 3-star headless horseman. There's 2 of them, so maybe he didn't rep enough to know that there's 2 of them. But he says that his chase is the full art Maeve. What people don't realize, a lot of people putting out videos who are crapping on the casters, the legendary rare casters. There's 2 things. There's 2 things that people aren't educated on that I need to educate you on real quick. One, legendary rares are all reprints. The reprints for the previous sets. So you're not going to get a legendary rare of a cryptid that didn't show up yet. And 2, they did a poll and they talked about what would they like to see, and people had won over the casters as full hollow casters is something that they wanted to do, so they put that. Now, did they need to make them staring off and looking lovingly like there's lust in their eyes? Did they need to put Azaban riding sidecar on a motorcycle? No, some of these are pretty ridiculous, but that's the direction that they chose based upon the fact that the majority of people wanted to see casters. So yeah, that's why they gave it to us. And for the note, I love the area Speedwagon. I love that. That's my chase. I've not pulled anything in Secret Shadows, nothing of note whatsoever. So I'm kind of, it's starting to get to me. I'm starting to be like, maybe I'm done collecting this set, because it's just, when you're into too much, you're into like the gambler's fallacy where I keep spending. I'm bound to be up sometime. I think I'm so in it that it's just like, okay, maybe it's good to cut it off now. So I think those 3 boxes would be my last 3 boxes. So Ben says that he likes the legendary casters. People are showing off the Bakunawa. The Ultimate Sacrifice is the card. Is a 0 cost dragon. It's actually pretty strong too. Fuzzy says that he hasn't ripped any yet, which is a lie because I've been in streams where he's ripped them. So Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. So showing off cards, the 3-star of the Headless Horseman that people like. And there was 3 giveaways. There was 2 mats, one from the Collecticon, one from the future tournament that's coming up this weekend in Virginia, and then there was one of 2 Secret Shadow packs that were given out to 6 different people. So, and one person who won was Je ne sais quoi. She won not only a mat, but then won 2 booster boxes in the Shiny Collectibles stream that came right after this. So, very lucky person. Somebody else won a mat and then they won a booster box as well. So there's a lot of people that are lucky that aren't me. I'm starting to get a little salty about the luck. All right. So people are talking about the Rat King that they liked. There's a couple of Rat Kings in the set and they look pretty good. For some reason, Flyer put a poll in there, and I just wrote it in the poll. There's 8 people going to Nova who are in the chat. Oh. All right, so let's see. Fuzzy asked about Collecticon, other places that are not Collecticon-ish, but or other places that Metazoo might go. A couple people asked things about that. And Ben eventually says, I don't see it yet, but he had said that they hope to do some other things, like maybe the Mothman Festival, the Frogman Festival, stuff like that. I hope they don't do the Frogman Festival because it's in the middle of freaking nowhere. I keep telling the story. My flight was like $60 one way, 100 and something bucks both ways. My Uber from the airport to the hotel is the only way to get from the airport to the hotels. An Uber, because it's in the middle of nowhere, was like $120. One Uber was like $120. It was more expensive than my flight to and from. So let's not do that. We don't need to go to these middle of nowhere places. Mothman Festival is a little bit easier to get to. Honestly, I won't go. I probably won't go because it's a little too far out of my range. But there's a lot of people that will go, so I think that's a good spot to go to. And there's other places like that. There's the Squonko Palooza. There's the Butler Gargoyle Festival. I ran the festival. It was the Cryptic Fest. So there's different places that you can do that aren't just Collecticons. And Ben says, yeah, we're going to finalize a couple more places. Someone had asked about a con, and I said, hey, it's only 4 hours away, but his car broke down, so he's not able to go. Somebody was like, hey, as soon as you guys put in a Flatwoods Monster, I'll be back in the set. And Ben said, yeah, it's coming. People are showing off their collections. Flyer asked about official rules, and Ben just said, Ben said keep an eye out about the Squonkalpalooza, Mothman Festival, Frogman Festival, etc. And then he responds to Flyer and basically says, yeah, we're trying to work on it. We're looking at different ways to have the rules be accessible to everybody. Cutthroat showed his poncho pool. It came out looking weird. I don't know why it looked like that. I made a little joke that was like, hey, how about you make fire decks a little stronger since it's the meta now and you guys just keep making it ridiculously strong. There's more people in this chat than there have been since the first time they did the Metazoo Hour. You know, the return of the Metazoo Hours or Metazoo Mondays. Somebody came in and made like a ridiculous statement. It's just like, hey, when the new zoo came around, they said that they're going to give us all the free stuff that we should have gotten with the old zoo. Why didn't we get that? And everybody's like, what are you talking about? That's not how there's certain bankruptcies. There's bankruptcies that function. You know, it's chapter 9, chapter 11. There's probably other chapters, but and this is talked about ad nauseum. I don't know why we're still going through this 18 months later, but if you do a restructure, sure, it's the same company, same people. Maybe they restructured some of the people who are in the company, but this wasn't that type of bankruptcy. This bankruptcy was, hey, the company's folding, and then somebody's buying the assets and making a new company. Sure, it's the same name, but it's not anything. Obviously, it's not the same. It's not the same cards. It's not the same game. Not the same staff. So yeah, it doesn't function where, hey, we'll just give you all the free stuff that you were owed by this other company that ripped you off. It doesn't really work that way. That's why you shouldn't have bought the artwork that funded the lawyers who made this type of bankruptcy. Honestly, the old owner should have gone to jail or face repercussions for stealing from their audience, from their customers. I've been saying that since the beginning, when this stuff kind of hit the fan. Hey, this should not go through bankruptcy. This should go out of the pockets of the people who got rich off of the company. I digress. All right, let's see. A lot of people were talking about money, talking about the booster boxes, talking about the alt boxes. I just talked about the alt boxes just a little while ago. So the alt boxes help sell more product, and the company is at the point where it needs to show that it's selling a lot of product because the optics are really important. So they're not going to do away with the alt boxes. The alt boxes make more people buy more product. Sure, they're going to dump it. but it's dumping into the secondary market. They already made the money off of the distro from selling it. So it's going to help hurt LGSs, sure. That product's going to be washed down to people who actually want the product, like people who play the game. And it's good at this point to be able to have those products go to people who want to play the game at a low cost, because then they're going to support it more. So yeah, the person buys 6 cases, pulls 2 alt boxes, sells the alt boxes for a lot, dumps the rest of the product, then the people who really want it will buy it up, and then they have access to it at a low cost. Doesn't help the LGSs. LGSs are functioning in a hard spot right now because they're facing people who aren't sellers. You know, there's just people who run out of their basement, who think that they're a business, who will offload it on whatnot for $1 a pack. And you have people who have quote unquote stores that are actually, you know, a shed in their backyard, who are trying to sell it online or chasing these boxes, the expensive boxes. So they're hurting LGSs who are trying to make profit and try to do this as a legitimate business. So as an LGS, you really have to, you shouldn't be selling Metazoo unless you are putting a lot of effort into it. You're putting the effort into it to do the days where you teach people how to play. You're doing tournaments. OP is going to help out with that. You have prize packs, prizing, all kinds of things, freebies that'll help move the game along and have the company make a profit, the LGS make a profit off of it. But if you're just a shop that, hey, I need to purchase 50 SKUs of product in order to be able to access Topps Chrome, or not Topps Chrome, but NFL boxes or baseball boxes or something. I need to buy a certain amount for my distro, so I'll bundle something cheap like Metazoo in order to make that threshold. Don't expect to be making it. You're going to have to dump those products because everybody else is dumping those products. But if you want to really make something, you got to really like the product, and you got to learn how to play, and you got to teach others how to play, and make a little group and support people who are willing to teach and give them free product, and use it as a tool to get people in who might learn a game at a cheaper price point than Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Lorcana right now. Definitely cheaper than Magic the Gathering, but it's not a direct line of income. You're not gonna. It's not an investable product, and it's pages of people talking about investing, that they want to buy a box at $150 and then flip it someday. It's cardboard. It's not necessarily going to be able to be flipped in order to make money. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be enjoyed and played with. So yeah, there's going to be tons of pages of people talking about this stuff, and it's the same stuff all the time, and people don't get the bigger picture because they just see a box is selling for a cost basically, and they think that it's the end of the world. I mean, yeah, typically a TCG product will lower in price pretty soon after release. You see that with lots of product. Digimon, Dragon Ball Z. You don't see that with Pokemon typically. Pokemon is an anomaly. People love Pokemon across the board for many different reasons. But a lot of these other TCGs will come down in price pretty soon after. Like Fab, like most TCGs that exist. Because they're used to play the game, and some of the cards are rare and are harder to get or more desirable, and the demand for those products makes the pack or that card or that set go up in value. All right, so they get so collectors saying, hey, there's a free booster box, and they gave a link of where it was after the show. After the hour, there was going to be a stream. I joined the stream and I bought some stuff on there. It was a good stream, but 2 people hit 2 hidden rares. I didn't hit jack. Crap. All right, let's see what we got here. People are talking about other things that they want. They want plushies. They want all the stuff Ozu had. Right? They want plushies. They want T-shirts. They want hats. They want binders. They want all that stuff. Collector said, prize pack soon. Please stop saying soon. Soon is not a good word in Metazoo. All right. Some people dislike the serialized cards. Some people want serialized cards. Ben's talking about he's really excited about San Antonio Collecticon this weekend and Nova at the same time. So Metazoo is going to be in 2 places. I would like to see what's going to happen, who's going to show up where. I still have not made my deck yet. It's not finalized, so I'm gonna be up late. I'm just buying time. I'm just talking so I could buy time to get to the next point. People were talking about whatnot. People talking about the coins, want more coins or have use for coins. I use the coins. I use the coins as tokens. I use the coins as indicators. I use the coins, the Bitcoin from UFO to show who has priority in the game. They're very useful. You don't really have to throw them away. If you have coins and you want to play the game, they're useful. Ben teasing stuff. Ben had like kind of came to his own in this. He had personality. It was sort of reminiscent of Mike Waddell when he used to do them, where he was kind of like joking, and sometimes somebody would say like, "Hey, are you gonna reduce the size of the cards that are gonna be printed in the next set?" And you're talking about the print run. Hey, you're gonna shorten the print run, and everyone don't talk about print runs. So instead of saying, "Hey, we don't really talk about print runs," Ben would say something like, "Hey, if I reduce the card size any smaller, they won't fit in a sleeve." Haha. So it was funny at the time, but it kind of was. It was a very serious question, and it was disregarded. And I previously wouldn't have an issue, but because so many people had that done to them with Mike Waddell, kind of gave me kind of the feeling of that from previously. It felt more like an old Metazoo hour than it was the new Metazoo hour, which didn't feel the greatest. I don't want people to feel like that their question was pushed aside because for any reason, honestly. And I know a lot of people, especially old Metazoo people, are kind of sensitive to that kind of stuff. So I just think, and I know Ben watches my videos, I think just be careful how far you go with that kind of stuff, because you could have people sour on you on how you interact with them if they feel like they asked a serious question and it was disregarded. People talk about the favorite food for Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving was just last week. It feels like it was 2 months ago, but it was just last week. And Ben said mac and cheese, and everyone loved mac and cheese almost universally. They started talking about stuffing and mixed feelings about the stuffing. I agree. I think stuffing is garbage. So I saw Ben pull a lot of stuff at Collecticon last week. He pulled a Poncho, Wendigo, the Grim Reaper, both in rares, and there's a bunch of other stuff that he pulled. And all of them are really cool cards. Plague Doctor's another loved card. Everybody goes, "We don't need Charlie, we got Ben." And then Benazoo is a new thing that we've started to talk about. People are talking about Obnoxious Nate and say, "You're not too obnoxious." So every Monday is Benazoo Monday in this house, is what Ben said. People started making Benazoo jokes. Benadryl, get it? So then we talked about the 2 Playmaster we recently dropped. Kate hand-painted one. It looks amazing. I bought one. And then there's one that was released that's going to be at the next tournament. It's a Christmas themed one. It has Wukong with a Santa hat, and it looks like an Oni or maybe one of the Jins also in the Santa outfit. And there's people in the background. I can't really see it too well, but it looks pretty good. Skipping. He says he's gonna do a giveaway. I told you guys who won the giveaways already. Talked about flex decks. It looks like flex decks are no longer going to be a thing. They're going to go with the dynamic decks. I know they were supposed to be dynamic decks over the summer. It looks like it keeps getting pushed back. No word on those. Ben made it kind of a joke. It's like, hey, the mats are getting bigger and bigger. Soon they're going to be big enough for the table. And then maybe they're big enough to have a wrestling match between TMX and Flyer, in which one of us will dress like a Mothman and the other as a Bigfoot. And I said, I will destroy Flyer. And Ben said, what characters did you like to see who have returned in Secret Shadows? He said, I'm just wondering who was excited for some of the returns. I said, my biggest happiness my biggest, the one that I liked the most at the return, and it was completely a joke, was the broom. Because I did a video earlier in the week that showed the broom making its grand return as a 3-star. And I honestly, my favorite one was the Grafton Monster coming back, because Grafton looks really cool in a new drawing, green and all hulked out. Excellent, excellent, excellent. A flyer like that one too. And Ben talks about Broom is slept on. Yeah, it's actually a really good card. I'm gonna put 2 of them in my deck for this week. And I wish Kate could be there, because I would love to see her draw something on the Broom, maybe like a snail, because she likes to draw the snails, or a frogman or something. And then Ben also loved to graph the monster. He said he wants to do more with it. Everyone talking about the Bunny Man, how excellent that Bunny Man looks. Yeah, that Bunny Man is an all-timer. Everyone talking about Emily Nancy and how everything she does is amazing. As in, not everything. Have you seen her Parallel Park? People were getting other people into Metazoo. They're talking about what they could do to get their friends and family into Metazoo. Metazoo News has a website that you can do a deck builder, since Cardio has been slacking on doing that with the Metazoo site. Then Jack has a very long question. Jack always has great questions. Somebody else had said they're talking about how the alt boxes are problematic, possibly. I'll read the question that Jack said, because he mentions me and I haven't read this one. This is when I had started driving. This is interesting topics, like a store-seller problem. Though some sellers are honest, film the case opening, do will spends for the alt boxes. While it's possible to pre-order a box and hope for an alt, it's not widely available as an option, but it's there. I'm sure if enough people demand something like this from a seller, they consider doing maybe a slight markup compared to the market price. Like not making it a chase, but making it a alternate box, like just making a box that is alternate from the other ones. That way it's not like a $1,400 box. Maybe it's like you got the boxes that are going for $70 or $80, and then you have the boxes that are going for $150, or $120. That's the MSRP. If you're worried about the price of the boxes, I think it's actually a great thing. Kind of like what TMX said, let the boxes chase us and collect. They're effective subsidizing the hobby for the rest of us by dumping boxes. Exactly, I just mentioned that earlier. It'd be great for a store to buy 2 cases, and then they get a box that is an alt, and then they could sell it, and they're like, oh wow, I made money off of Metazoo. It is profitable to me. Now I can sell the rest of them at cost, and people can come in and play the game and love the game. Win-win. They're effectively subsidizing the hobby for the rest of us by dumping the boxes. And a low market doesn't look on the surface, but Metazoo is still making its money to survive through distribution, and the rest of us get cheap product. There's lots of ways to look at this situation. Personally, I don't mind, and I'm going to 100% that. That's exactly what I said. All right. I think there's going to be a load of talking about prices and stuff, so I'm going to skip through that. People are talking about online tourney, and Ben said, yeah, sure. I typically don't, I'll do it on camera. I've done a lot of games off camera. I don't like TTS. TTS is a young man's sport, young woman's, young person's sport to do TTS. As an old man, it is not very functional for me. You got to remember Control, Alt, Delete, all these different things to try to make it run. I'd rather do spreadsheets at work than do TTS. All right, let's see what we got here. A lot of people talking about money, bundling to get other product. That's what a lot of these stores are doing, and then they sell it, they dump it. And and Ben's kind of like, all right, guys, like he's just being joking about it. He's like, oh, right in front of my Metazoo Monday, huh, guys? You're just gonna talk about this? I kind of made a little joke too. I was like, I bundle my Metazoo with chicken nuggets, and then I rest in sweet and sour sauce. It's like, it's not investable. It's a card game. You don't anticipate it. Nobody was ever thought of a game and said, let's invest it in day 1, and then day 59 they made a return in it. Most of these card games, they go up in value, and as a happenstance. Pokemon, nobody thought Pokemon originally was gonna be this big thing. We played with the cards. That's why all the Charizards are like 4, and then the 10s come in $50,000 because we played with our Charizards. All the Charizards were all scratched up because it was a playable card. You don't want to. It's not meant. It's not a solid brick of gold where you're supposed to keep that mint and you leave that in the safe for 20 years and then you pull it out, and because it's a precious metal, it's gone up in value. This is cardboard. It's card and ink. It's supposed to be played with at the table with your friends. And Ben's like, for the 1,000th time, yes, t-shirts, accessories, supplies are all in the pipeline. A lot of teasing from Ben. Ben just teased. Yeah, it's coming. Yep, we're thinking about it. Nothing set in stone. Skipping through Ben. Everyone's talking about Excel sheet for the rules of the game. So yeah, we're only 8 months in. All right, the playmats came through. 2 playmats. Said these are the last 2 giveaways of the night. We're winding down. And other people were kind of getting around to a consensus that, yeah, once the demand rises, the prices will rise. There's not enough demand. There's more product than there are people collecting. That's the product of Old Zoo. The problem with Old Zoo was that they made it look like there was smaller product than there was. But there's probably a palette for every person who was a fan of Metazoo previously. And you don't need that. You only need maybe a box or 2 per person. And talk about marketing. Ben said, hey, we're trying. I think every time they ask about marketing, they're just like, oh, it's happening in ways that you can't see. Well, the point of marketing is that people would see. So if we don't see it, other people aren't seeing it. Other people aren't seeing it. It's not working. All right, let's see. Jenna Sequoia won the playmat. Yes, a certain Jenna Sequoia. And then Anton's the one who won the other mat, won the other box, won a hidden rare tonight too. Won probably 2 legendary rares. Ridiculous. Congrats. Some Fuzzy put congrats as like a sad kid that's like, congrats. That was me. This is me now. I'm just salty because my luck has been so low. I'm happy to see other people winning some stuff. All right, thank you all guys for hanging tonight. Send me a DM and I'll send you the stuff. Hopefully we see you in San Antonio or Virginia. And I think that's it. And then, then usually when it's over, people kind of say some outlandish stuff. Like, just talking poorly about cardio, which is understandable. They shipped stuff out late and a lot of people don't have it yet. And then Hemper says, like, looks like the streamers got it all first. What, from cardio? Because there's only like 4 streamers on Whatnot right now who do New Zoo. Somebody even mentioned that. Mr. Haunt said that, hey, what, the 5 Whatnot streamers? They didn't get it from cardio. Cardio streams too. You think cardio would stream itself first? If they're going to stream, then give it out to other people who are streamers? That doesn't make sense, right? Kate popped in for a second and said, Kate, where were you? So I've been here the whole time. And I think that's the end of it. So I'll give my review of everything in 1 second. Just making sure that I haven't missed anything at the post gaming. A lot of people got their stuff in today, looks like, which is pretty cool. People talking about Rift Bound for some reason. And I'm saying Riftbound is ridiculously expensive to play, and that's been holding people away because they like the game, but it is not easy to pick up. All right, interactions were great. Fun times were had. People were laughing. People were talking. A lot more people in there than before. So that automatically brings it up to an I. Now, no spoilers. Nothing about the next set. No artists kind of in there. I mean, Lily was in there for a little bit. Kate was in there for a little bit. But nothing too spectacular. Nothing over the top. They did do the giveaways, though. Giveaways will put it to the nice. But did it go to sheesh? No Charlie. No spoilers. No solid information of the future. So it was just a nice. I'd say it's a quarter of the way through the nice. So it wasn't a nice one. Nice day for a new month. What are we going to see at the end of the month? Will we see OP happen? Will we see the dynamic decks happen? There's a lot of, will we see the blisters? The blisters that are supposed to be in big box. These are the top things that people are talking about. Starting to feel like old zoo in certain aspects where they promised something. They didn't put a strict date though. So I'll give them that. Promised something, talked about it for months, soon, and no follow-up, nothing that we know of that's in the pipeline. It's the first time that's happened. It's the first time I'm getting this feeling. Let's hope that we corral that feeling and not continue it, because it was a nice week. Be cool, do good, be nice to each other, and peace.